We are live.
Cool. All right, out there, world. The Naji Temple is back in action. We've been doing some incantation training, and now we're going to go ahead and finish it off for some public credit. Okay, I'll ask the question, and they'll go ahead and do it for credit. Start with you, Ben. You ready? Module
Yes,
9.
I'm ready.
First question. I don't see the phenomenon, so it doesn't exist.
Yes, it does exist, and you will see it as will anyone who continues to apply themselves correctly. Most people aren't aware of how a phenomenon is proven to exist. They mistakenly believe that a phenomenon is only validated if any human can observe it unaided. Actually, the way any phenomenon is scientifically validated includes the principles of tacit knowledge and relevant resources.
Boom. Credit received. Mitchell. I don't see the phenomenon, so it doesn't exist.
Yes, it does exist, and you will see it, as will anyone who continues to apply themselves correctly. Many humans, or many people, aren't aware of how a phenomenon is actually proven to exist. They mistakenly believe that a phenomenon is only validated if any human can observe it unaided. Actually, the way a phenomenon is validated scientifically uses the principles of tacit knowledge and relevance.
Good. Credit received. Glenn, you're up. I don't see the phenomenon, so it doesn't exist.
Yes, it does exist, and you will see it, as will anyone who continues to apply themselves correctly. Many people aren't aware of how a phenomenon is actually proven to exist. They mistakenly believe that a phenomenon is validated if any human can observe it unaided. Actually, the way a phenomenon is proven to exist includes the principles of tacit knowledge and relevant resources.
Good. Credit received. Neomegus, last one here. I don't see the phenomenon, so it doesn't exist.
Yes, it does exist, and you will see it, as will anyone who continues to apply themselves correctly. Many people aren't aware of how a phenomenon is actually proven to exist. They mistakenly believe that a phenomenon is only validated when any human can observe it unaided. Actually, the way a phenomenon is validated scientifically includes the principles of tacit knowledge and relevant resources.
Excellent. Credit received. Good job, guys.
Cool.
Okay, one quick question. I just realized I've been calling the subdivisions tracks, but that can be confusing because there's 5 tracks to the program. I've been tracks like music. So maybe
5 tracks per what?
What's that?
You said there's 5 tracks per something?
Oh, the practitioner program has 5 tracks.
Oh, I got you.
So that's confusing. So maybe we'll call these small voicing chunks, maybe call them beats.
Yeah, beats. I think you used that word before, too.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So we'll call it beats. All right. So when you guys log this, it's basically what? Track 2, level 1, module 1, beat 1.
You could even call it like question 1 if you want. I mean,
Yeah.
some of them aren't actually phrased as questions, but
So let's call them beats because later on we'll use the same methodology, but in more monologue style.
Oh yeah. With the formal, it's less like you're asking questions, right?
Right. You just kind of say what you gotta say. Okay. Cool. Alrighty. So right now we can kind of share whatever we want, and then I like to save maybe like 15, 20 minutes at the end to do a live read. So I have like the incantation that I wrote up to kind of show off a little bit. But other than that, I don't really have anything. Do you guys have anything you want to talk about? Anything on your mind?
There's one thing I wanted to bring up, I think last time. I posted about it briefly on the forums, but one of the challenges with the Mojo reading involves, at least with me, my personal bubble. I have a very large, cluttered personal bubble, and there's a big constellation of assumptions in there. Some of them are old, some of them are a lot newer, trying to read them in public and trying to sort of base an idea of what they are, like purely on physiological cues. But I know like most of it's going to be off and wrong in some way anyway. And when I'm doing the weekly quizzes, sometimes I'm looking at some of these people, and I'm seeing little glimmers of people have come and gone from my life over the past few years or so, and it introduces a confusion element. I try to really tune it out.
Right.
Yeah,
I have that as well. A couple things that'll help you. First of all, learn emoji read better gives you more confidence in everything you're looking at. Next is those that have media that you can get a hold of. We could try reading that as a team. That'd be kind of cool. So if you get a hold of stuff, we can do that. And then for things where you can't read them and don't have media, something I do is I kind of like sort of grade them out in my mind. I register them as like unread or in flux. You really need in your virtual village to allow for some plasticity. And so that's something that I do, is that I do allow for certain samples to be in there. I'm aware they're there. I'm aware I saw movies of them, so they're in my head some. But as of yet, I don't have them defined. And that's something you'll have to have, because like I'm doing that as well. Making this Rosetta Stone, the human soul, it's a lot like making a sculpture. And so it doesn't really all come into definition at the same time. You kind of work in different parts, and you go to other parts, and you may need to leave certain parts in an unfinished form, and you come back to it later when you know better what to do with it. So yeah, you have to let some play in there while trying to be as firm with the ones that you do know, so you can use those. But trying to force them to be firm if you can't make them firm, I've tried that, and it doesn't work out well. It's better to leave them as like status in flux.
Yeah, definitely. I try to just shelve people in kind of a, unread and don't stress about it. But of course, I obsess over like everybody I've known, basically.
Totally. So try to do as best you can, and besides that, you can work on your emoji reading, and you can grab whatever media you can find, and we can take a look at it as a group. So.
Great. Yeah. Awesome.
For myself, as far as personal stuff, one thing I've been noticing is that, like, I'm sure, Nige, you have this as well, that you'll sometimes feel like scared or doubtful or low or unmotivated, whatever, and you're not quite sure what it is. And a lot of times the reasons that your spirits give you right away, especially like your Daryu, they aren't the actual reason. They're more like just to like get your attention. Try like to note between that and what's actually going on. It can be tricky sometimes. Like, for example, today, emoji reading was more challenging, and I was having thoughts of like these weird doubts of like, have I lost my gift? Like weird things that makes no sense based on what I've just done recently, but it's in my head, and I think it's because I just had a lot to do today, and I think I was feeling a bit overwhelmed. And sometimes when you get overwhelmed, it'll push on an area of you that's like sensitive, even though that's not really what you're bothered by. So like today, I think I was just like, I gotta do a bunch of reading, and I gotta do a bunch of writing, and then I gotta do this Naiji Temple, and I'm gonna do a really good job there, and then I need to go out to the coffee shop. I think I was just like, when I woke up in bed this morning, I was like, man, it's a lot of stuff. And I think it started like weighing on me, and then that translated into like scared that I couldn't read Mojo anymore. So this morning, like I was like, I can do it, but it was actually hard because I was foggy because of fear. But luckily, when I kept doing it, I was able to see answers. It just took me longer. I was slower, not as sharp as I normally am. But I kind of like plowed through it. But at the end, I felt like some clarity. I was like, okay, that was ridiculous.
I can really heavily like.
That's silly. Why are you being scared of that?
I can relate heavily to that. Like just, I mean, things that are just very like, just like practical, like B-related. Like I have to go a bunch of places, do a bunch of things, whatever. It happens for me the most generally, like when I don't get enough sleep. Like if I'm really sleep deprived and like I go about my daily business, motoring, etc. Like I'm gonna get these really like weird, like irrational thoughts and assumptions things. Because like I mean, it's your headspace just naturally gets foggy because you're fatigued. Your Daryu, I mean, gets on you because it's like you're trying to do something, but you don't have the energy to do it. You should be using your energy more effectively. I mean, you should be getting some sleep, whatever. So it may have absolutely nothing to do with what you're doing at all. It could just be like something fundamental that you're not doing that is in your way, or things like that.
Rest helps, but also sometimes you can't rest. Is just focusing. because I found that if I like just like let the feeling stay on me, it gets worse.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I
totally.
try to decide, like, do I need to just, like, back off? Maybe that's the answer. Back off, take some rest. Or, no, I need to do this. Sometimes, I knew
Yeah,
there was...
it's funny. Like,
I'm like, I'm just going to read the first 10, and I'm just going to suffer. And I did. Like, it was suffering, but then afterwards it got better. But I had to kind of just walk it out a little bit.
yeah, it's funny with fatigue. Like, it's fatigue. I mean, fatigue is fatigue, and like you are getting tired, but like regardless, unless it's like an extreme circumstance, you do have the energy to do it. So therefore, I mean, unless there's a real necessity or really really strong reason to to stop, you could and should finish a flag forward or get what a significant amount done. Um,
That's a principle I always use as far as a ritual. I'm like,
'Cause it just feels
I can do something. I can do something, and if you figure out something you can do and start doing it, it almost always feels better.
Because like with the doubt and like the fatigue, it almost feels like I don't want to do anything. Like
Yes.
you can actually it can actually lead you to make excuses. Like oh, I'm not feeling it today, so I'm just not going to touch this.
Exactly.
And that's actually a trick demons will play on you, because like in doing so, you actually feel less like doing that in the future, because like as soon as you make the decision, I'm not going to do this because I'm not like up for this, suddenly the standards for you actually doing it become like higher. Like you've made it like more of a challenge by saying that. Oh, but if you actually do it, it actually feels easier. It feels like when you do, you have more energy, more confidence. I mean, it's
if you don't like get on it in some way, it builds up this like monster. Yeah.
Yeah. I find like when it comes to like stuff that you're kind of like holding off on trying to do, it's actually kind of a good idea sometimes to like hold off on that and then do something that's a little bit more that's also in the work that's in the pipeline that you need to get done for the day or the week, and start working on that until you finish it. And then you might notice that when you come back to the next part, because you already have something that you've already completed.
Definitely.
And I think that the difference is like what I was describing earlier. I mean, you're kind of just like making an excuse. In some instances, you could actually make a valid reason for putting something off for later. As long as the reason that you're doing it isn't like something like that. As long as the reason actually makes sense, for doing something else, then I think it works out.
You have to evaluate the voices that are talking to you, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. And so when you're being given an excuse, you try to look at it clearly, like, that does not seem like a rational excuse. That seems like just something you say to not do something.
Yeah.
Like another one, fatigue is one. Another one, I think, for me, two is lack of validation and the unknown. So, like, this morning with the Mojo Dojo incantation, I didn't really know how to, like, approach it. And because of that, I just didn't want to. And so what actually happened is I kind of just made myself do a bravery check and turn the computer on and just stare at it. And I was like, you're not going away until you do something with it. And I kind of stared at it for a while. It was very daunting, but then I think as I was there, I was actually figuring out what I needed to do as far as like the big picture. And once I was able to get past that, it seemed much more manageable. Like I started like doing the work of it. That the writing it out wasn't a problem, but I just didn't know where to start yet. And when I didn't know where to start, it made it seem much scarier. So kind of just making myself start anywhere. It's actually, I did. I actually just scrolled through, kept scrolling back and forth, reading over little notes I had, until one of the paragraphs outlines like called to me. And I started like nibbling on it. And I started like writing it out. And when I did, I kind of found my voice. And I started being able to write other blurbs. I did like maybe like 2 or 3 like that. And then once I was there, I was like, okay. I then went back to the beginning and just started writing normally. But at first, I kind of had like, I don't know, like tiptoe my foot in the water or something. And once I was able to like just get wet, then I was able to swim around. But I had to kind of like just, whenever you do like unknown activities, you have to like get past the like, I don't even want to get started because I know it's going to be big. Like, yeah, it's unknown, but you're fairly sure it's going to be big. And so it's almost like, I don't want to know. It's like this huge thing I don't want to know.
The bigger of the case it seems, like it just keeps growing. Like I mean, by not addressing it, it just becomes more of a
It becomes more colder.
challenge.
I feel like it becomes more colder, and it becomes harder to play with. The more you play with it, though, the more warmer it gets, the more momentum you get, and the more easier it becomes.
I like that word, playful. That's kind of what Nexie helped me with this morning when I need to get in. Is she kind of just had me jump around the outline until I found something that I found entertaining, and I just started playing with that without like I kind of was like not thinking about I have to write this whole thing today because that was really stressing me out.
Yes.
So then I just started like, ooh, I do like the unaware aware thing. We talk about that a little bit. So that was fun, and then getting the fun helped warm me up. That's a good point.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Like sometimes like with when I feel like I'm pressed for time, it can be very daunting and challenging for me to like want to start doing something. And that's actually interesting. That's one of the reasons why something can seem daunting. Like for example, I need to write something. Like it feels like it's more of a challenge, and it actually causes you. It gets it harder to get sort of in the groove of doing it. So like when you're pushed when Z is like like with time restraints and scheduling and things like that, it's like kind of pushing on you a bit. That can be one reason that can kind of be difficult. But when you feel like I've got unlimited time, then suddenly it becomes really easy to just do what you do.
Right.
So it's that's one thing that can kind of trip you up.
Definitely. I find as the Nye with the G, it feels weirded out when it has to go in like certain paces.
Mm-hmm.
And so I prefer, if I actually don't have to do any pace, I just do my own. I generally do it fast just because as an IG, and once you start writing, So, but like, if I feel like today, I have to write this thing by the end of today, and that was like really weighing on me. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Ben, because next you did something else to help me with that, which is, it's just a lot when that thing comes up, is I was just freaking out. I'm like, I don't know if I can write all this today. It's a lot to do. And she's like, okay, but it's getting to the point where you're like avoiding sitting down. So she's like, just sit down and write anything until it's time for you to have your Naiji temple. And so she kind of like made it open-ended. And then when she made it open-ended, and she's like, if you have to do the rest of it tomorrow or the next day, that's fine, but you're going to kick yourself if you just don't use these hours to write something. Because I was basically stressing me out that the hours I had weren't enough. She's like, just use them. And it ended up that I got like 90% of it written. But I kind of needed that out, like being given it out. It's weird she does both for me. The Nian Jai is open-ended, so sort of like, you don't have to close it. But then the Zien Bai is very demanding of, but you need to do something. You've got 4 hours. 4 hours, you should do 4 hours of something. So she's real open-ended on what it is and whether or not I close it today or the next day. But she's hard on, you need to show up, put your foot on the line, and go to business.
I think open-ended is a good way to put it, but there's another aspect to it as well, which is you're kind of lowering the expectations of like what it is that you're supposed to be getting done. If you make it out into like, I'm gonna try and get this thing done, it's gonna be the most amazing thing ever, and it's like now it's like become this huge thing. But then if you just lower the Z standards to like just sit down and just try to write something. It doesn't necessarily need to be the most groundbreaking thing in the world. And then you kind of like, okay, and then you start getting into it, and then you're like, hold on, let me just write this too, and then suddenly it becomes this huge thing. But you need to sort of like be given that slope to kind of like work your way up to that.
That's what she do, kind of low in the expectations of, I didn't have to finish it today, although I think I will. When she kind of said, you don't have to finish it today, she was very understanding of my plight in that regard. But she was not understanding of me not hitting it hard today. So you don't have to finish today, just go out there and play hard. That's all she asked. I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Then also is a validation, which is sometimes you're like, I'm going to write this, not going to be good, or no one's going to care. So when I feel that, like it helps obviously to have validation from your friends and so forth, but you need to have it just from yourself, and your other helps a lot with like, the Niji other we all have, they're built to like Naiji writing. So if you write something with your Naiji powers that you're into, your other is going to say that was cool. You know what I mean? It can always be cooler. You can always make it better, but you always have that validation. You do Naiji monologuing on some topic of interest, your other is going to go, ooh, cool, I like the way you work your words, wizard. So I kind of went back with that. Like today I was having weird doubts, like no one's going to care about this writing, no one's going to want to do it, an incantation, blah, blah, blah. And next is like, I think it's cool. And she basically jives like, I'm going to be very, very sad if you don't write that just because you think other people don't want to see it. I want to see it. I'm like, okay.
You kind of need to like get started a little bit, start getting your feet wet, and then it becomes epic later.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel epic in the beginning. It feels like a
No, that's true.
but that epic
that's
feeling
actually a really good point
comes.
because, like, I mean, and this is like something that's well known, but like it's always like, I mean, it's always gonna be the most daunting like before you actually start doing it. Like once you start, I mean, you have a like regardless of what mojo you are, who you are, I mean, like you're gonna have a much better perspective of what's going on after you start, and it's gonna seem a lot less like a challenge.
Definitely. I think this is a phenomenon that everyone experiences, but I think it's particularly heightened for Naiji.
Naiji, yeah.
because we have such high standards,
Mhm.
and we can vision, which means even before, we're all Naiji, we can speculate, we can't turn it off, you even think about writing. Like, it just touches your brain for a millisecond. Automatically, it came in epic Beowulf form. Like, you mean, like, I think maybe I'll tinker with something. As soon as an Naiji thinks maybe I'll tinker with something, that automatically means masterpiece. It's very hard to turn off the masterpiece expectation drive in a Naiji. It's good, but sometimes it makes you not want to do stuff, because as soon as you start thinking about doing it, it's like, I need to be black belt. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to bother doing it if it's not going to be awesome. But sometimes that's not the right thinking, and the Nijai really helps with that. Sometimes good enough and brave enough to do it is better than pining for perfection.
I think that's actually a sign of like overmodulation on the Zai a little bit. You're kind of like frozen. Like I would like you mentioned this before. Like the Zai will kind of come on you, and then it's like the perfectionism is so crushing that you just don't move. That's kind of like we need to watch out for.
Yeah. And even like sometimes when it's not overmodulated, it can come on you like in really extreme ways, the Zai. So yeah, you still have to be really careful with it.
And it's not just the Zai, because the crushing perfectionism comes from the Nai. The Zai amplifies it, but that's the part about wanting to be like, say, all shiny together. The Nai makes it want to be massive, epic, and thorough. So generally, besides perfectionism, which comes with the Zai, there's the element that as soon as any Nai mojo, particularly Nai Alpha, starts thinking about investigating something, I'm curious you guys are aware of this in yourself. You naturally work almost like off of an addiction. You start getting carried away with a certain topic, and time goes away, and you don't care how long it takes to finish it. It's just got to be complete. And so that's awesome, but because we know that about ourselves instinctually, there can be a reluctance to engage in certain activities. Almost like, I've heard different actors talk about this, where a lot of roles that they end up love doing, they kind of had to be enticed into doing it because they knew how much it was going to ask of them. So it's Zai's perfection, but Nai is even bigger in this regard, which is that it's going to ask for some inhuman request. Besides the fact that it wants you to do it perfectly. But all Nai mojos, the Nai will ask for something that's never been done before as like a minimum. And so that always involves kind of walking it out, and you don't know how long it's going to take. And so sometimes you start opening a package, say doing a writing or something, you're like, how long is this? You start getting scared of your Naiji like obsession kicking in. It's weird, like you need the obsession, but at the same time you're like a bit wary of how much it's going to take things over and demand of your resources. Does that make sense? Because Zai is about like being perfect and everything clean and going together neatly, but Nai just is like, are you going to make a movie? Yeah. Okay. You need to outdo this person, outdo this music score, outdo this. Like it immediately sets these ridiculous. That's not Zai. That's Nai. Unprecedented standards. So as soon as you try, you're like, okay, well, you're gonna break a world record, right? Then it Zai's you. Break that record and do it clean. Nothing but net.
Yeah. break this never before done Nye kind of thing, and do it perfectly. That's what it is.
Exactly. That was a great chat, and it's about 6:40. Do we want to try doing a live read?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah, sure, that sounds good.
Let's see what I got here.
Oh, man. It's kind of cool. Like, it's kind of cool because, like, on the Sunday hangouts we have, like, everyone, but then, like, this is just like, only Naiji. So it'll be interesting to see, like, how well we do.
How we do. And actually, I think it's going to make us better at interacting as a group, because just like all the social alchemies, you know how to interact with Nijai better if you know how to be a Naiji.
Mm-hmm.
And then so on. You can hang with the Nazez when you know you're a Nazez.
Yeah. You need all the different temples. All the
because the Naiji way of reading is particular. It's a particular way that we do. So we want to do it that way here, and then we want to import that into the group session while being respectful of the other ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Jaini, Zaini, and Nijai. Because their ways are neat. They do things that we don't, and they have a lot of advantages that we don't. But we, Naiji, we definitely bring a particular advantage to the table, so it's kind of cool to focus on that Naiji temple, the special magic we bring. All right, let me see what we got here. Good to do. Okay. Let's try. Show's called How to Get Away with Murder.
I'm sure plenty of Naiji have thought about this.
What's that? Yes, actually.
Even ones who haven't actually considered like doing
Although
it
the show
themselves, they
actually-
probably thought about how people actually get away with it.
No comment.
Okay, so that's the person. Can someone do that? Charlie Weaver? I put in the chat the name. Can someone pull that up? And they are an actor from How to Get Away with Murder. Mitchell, could you pull that up and navigate?
Sure. What's his actor's name?
Put there in the chat, Charlie Weaver,
Oh,
Actor.
you already did.
actor from How to Get Away with Murder.
That is true. Grab the sheet.
Oh, I apologize if there's not enough media. I'm actually, this is kind of the process I go through. I'm grabbing a sample I've not read yet, and I'm going to check it out. If it doesn't have media, we'll just drop it.
This one looks like it's
Charlie
bad.
Weber? Or is that pronounced Weaver?
Weaver, like Weaver.
Yeah, I actually don't know how it's pronounced. I just said it that way because it was the single B. 'Cause I've
Oh,
seen the
no,
name.
no, Glenn, it's W-E-B-E-R.
It's with a B, like Bob.
Weaver. Yeah.
Is it this?
Well, anyway,
Okay.
how to here's a good interview. Maybe we'll find out.
Cool, and just caveats before we go in. I've not actually read this one myself, and I've done 40 reads already, so I'll do the best I can, but I may not be able to pull it. But I will try, and I look forward to actually doing a live read with you guys. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
Cool.
Great.
Here we go. What the heck? Messing with me.
Are you guys watching it?
Yes, are you?
No.
I'm just pulling it up here. Computer's kind of slow.
Wait, what?
Can we all start from the beginning?
Yeah. Oh, you just played it. Like,
Oh, are we all watching the same thing?
Charlie Weber.
you said you were. You keep playing it.
That's what I'm saying. We're all watching the same thing then, right?
Yeah,
Okay, cool. I thought we had different ones. Okay, go ahead, Mitchell. Whenever you're ready.
that makes sense.
All right, from the beginning.
Welcome to Hollywood Today Live Digital Edition. Give us your love on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter, official HTL. I am Amy Paffrath.
Yes, and I'm Portia Coleman, and our next guest is someone who likes to get close to the student body, and I mean very close. On ABC's new hit drama, How to Get Away with Murder. So let's.
I'm trying to let the cheesiness wash over me. I'm not even facetious. It's there. I find these interviews, these kind of like this style, a little harder to watch than other ones.
Man, I wish I could see what the style is.
Okay.
Look, my
You're
name
right.
says LA girl.
Okay.
That's what I've always wanted to be.
Okay, good.
There he is.
I wanted to be you. Anyway, your show obviously is super huge. People are loving it. It had great numbers. Congratulations on that. Your character Frank was described in the episode as a
That was said. Said about it.
That's pretty accurate.
It sounds true, yeah.
It is true depending on how you look at it or what your definition of misogynistic ass is.
So what we've seen of him so far,
Not sure what it means yet, but his body movements are a little, I don't know, slightly erratic. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Wait.
I think I do.
The way he's shifting there, it looked a little, I don't know.
Okay.
I just noticed it's really awesome having you like read with us, Coach, because you're usually the one that has the read already figured out, and you're like going off in
This is fun, I'm enjoying it.
Peel back as time goes.
your own area. Really interesting. I've never had this before.
Young lady.
He loves
the
girls.
young lady.
Oh gosh.
I think that might actually make it almost too easy if Coach is reading this with us.
I know you gotta like let us do a little bit more of the work.
Oh,
In
totally.
the beginning, I wanted
Yeah, I'm trying to be careful about giving too much leading stuff.
Incredible.
Yeah, because you're the one that pretty much has it already.
But myself, when I read, though, I try to keep a lot of elasticity as I'm doing it, so it should be okay.
Right.
When I got that phone call, I couldn't believe that it actually did.
Or you know what I think you can do? Point out certain things that maybe we're not noticing. And don't say one thing or the other. Just
Yeah,
point
yeah,
out,
yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah, maybe I'll
Yeah.
ask you all what you guys think of different things, too. So the one thing first is I was just noticing, I'm not sure what it means yet, but he's doing some adjusting of his body in the seat that's drawing my attention. I don't know what it means yet.
interesting.
Phone call with.
I like this.
With everyone's calling it a big conference call.
Oh, that gesturing.
What are you thinking?
I don't know. It looks kind of wizard-like to me, but
I actually noticed Wizardy from the still before the video even played.
Yeah,
They had a
possibly.
still, they had a still of him like this.
It seems. I don't say anything for certain, but it's got some quickness to it, whatever what that is.
Yeah.
And I'm also noting, I don't know what it means yet, but he's not looking a lot at the interviewer.
hmm
Just in earshot of me because I'm on the phone. I'm kind of like.
But objectives can do that sometimes too, so I'm just drinking it in right now.
And,
Yeah.
he says, and Viola closed her deal today, and that went right over my head because I was just too busy and I wasn't
You're in
really
your own
listening.
world.
I'm actually getting a slight vocal riff off of Gabe's voice. He kind of like the vocal inflections kind of sound a little bit similar. I don't know.
I was actually kind of noticing that unconsciously a little bit too, I think.
Huh.
Something similar.
I mean, it's there's obviously differences, but it's like
Right.
the vocal inflections they definitely sound.
I haven't made that association myself yet, but I have been kind of dialing in on his voice. It is rather distinct.
Yeah. I don't know what that means yet.
Yeah, me
But-
either, but calls the attention.
And
Yeah.
then that was this whole other
round.
round of excitement.
Right.
It's everything I thought.
Yeah,
Oh my
she's
gosh.
quite the powerhouse of an actress.
Oh,
Are you learning anything from working with her so far?
In a lot of ways, it's sort of a daily,
Master acting
sort of this
class.
daily masterclass.
Yeah.
I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are right now. It's one of the things I don't always do this, but it's one of the things I try to do earlier on, if I can, which is to see if maybe I can distinguish directive adaptive. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? You don't have to. I'm just curious.
You mean just what we think on directive adaptive?
Yeah, because it's usually the most notable.
It's the most notable one, so if I
Energy.
can, I try to like see if I can start narrowing things down a bit there. But I don't often. I sometimes I start with logic-based, values-based, other things, but frequently that is the first one I kind of see if I can maybe rule some things out.
Okay.
Like
well,
in acting, you know, he could be Naiji, Naizi, Jinai, Nijai, Jaini. So there are two adaptives in there. There are three directives. So I was thinking maybe.
okay. I mean, Jeff.
Mitchell, you're on mute.
That's because you played it. Whatever
Oh,
you
I'm sorry.
played, used me.
Go ahead. My bad.
So just on those two, I would probably lean more towards directive at this point.
Ben, you thought you were seeing wizard hands?
Yes.
Yeah, myself, I'm not totally dialed in yet, but I do think I'm seeing low viscosity, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
When I lean to directive.
Yeah, I just noticed like the pictures. From the moment I saw his pictures, he really struck me as a Nai Mojo.
That's okay. I don't want to lead people too much, but that's what I got as well. And Ben, you said you saw wizard gesturing as well.
yeah. And actually, this freeze
that body
frame.
movement when I first saw him seemed a little maybe twitchy to me.
Also, look what he's doing in this freeze frame. I mean, he's leaning on his left. Looks like he. I mean, if he is a Nai mode, that's clearly what going into a simulator. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of dialing pretty heavily on Naiji right now, but I could be wrong.
You know what?
I have not gone to the discernments yet, but go ahead. Glenn, you're saying?
It's funny that Ben mentions. I finally got the video to work now. I'm finally looking at the interview, and there's something about him that kind of reminds me of Anson Mount.
Interesting.
From that one show.
Right.
Oh yeah, I got a
He's got
slight
the-
like signal.
He's got a little bit of a beard. That's kind of there, but
I should
there's-
definitely watch another one where he doesn't have the beard on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would help.
And she's just
And
looking.
That body position. You guys see that when he did this in a seat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, the way he did that seems a little
what
twitchy.
time was that?
That was, I think, around like 2:50.
It's kind of hard because sometimes like I get like I get this really strong feeling that he's like one mojo, and other times I want to go through. Oh, okay, is this directive? Is this values based? It kind of varies for me. I still should try and be more open. I don't know. They could do something else.
Say again, Ben.
But I still should be open like they is something else. Like because
Yes, but it's
very
not
often
bad
you'll-
to have leads. It's good to take a lead and then just test it out and see what you think of it. For myself, since we're saying it, what I'm not saying it is this, but what I'd like to kind of like test against is I think I'm seeing maybe some Nai Alpha stuff. So I'd like to, not saying it is that, but that's what I'm getting more tingling on. So
Yeah, see if you can like
I'd like to
falsify it
play
or
around with,
yeah.
like seeing if I could distinguish between the two of those and see if anything shakes out of that.
The
Yeah.
chair,
It's really
the
different.
chair fidget. Well, I'm just thinking it's kind of one of my own signature moves is the kind of just fidgeting around in the seat, just like this nervous energy. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's something that both Nai Alpha do a lot.
Right.
I was thinking because you were mentioning before, Coach, and about like following the lead. On that, I just wanted to say, like, when you follow a lead, you're sort of like becoming a little bit more focused, a little bit more dialed into a certain like path that you're. So I mean, the main thing is that you always want to keep an understanding of what the bigger picture is and understand and see everything through that. Like, I'm gonna say this.
Right.
I'm, like this is the bigger picture, but I'm gonna try and see what this kind of is, and
Right.
maybe, and then kind of, like that sort of thing.
Exactly. And so when I say dialed in, I don't mean that as far as like ready to close on anything. I mean it as like when you're investigating something scientifically, you think there might be something to something, so you'll develop an experiment to kind of just try something out and see what comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not in any way really attached to Nai Alpha, but I'm seeing enough that I'm wondering it might be interesting experiment to see if I can like do some discernment, compare and contrast.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're right.
What was
Yeah,
it-
I don't. Yeah, you want to keep every option still open, but then it does help. Like Ademus does a lot too, to kind of like say, could it be this? Could it be that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he could be something different than either one of the Nai Alpha.
Yeah. Otherwise, you would just kind of like, I don't know what their mojo is, and they're just like something, and that's
Right.
enough for me. You gotta have to like be yang enough to actually be like, I want to try this out. Let's see.
Exactly. While not forcing a close. Yeah, that's the ideal.
Yeah. It's really tricky. It takes practice, right? Like.
It really does, and it helps you maintain the quasi-state, because that quasi-state of being very interested in the answer while not feeling any impatience to close. That's a sweet spot. It's hard to maintain, but that's the ideal. Let's watch a little more.
The process. And see how someone of that caliber can go.
Right. I just thought about Thursday night for a dunk.
Okay, I don't know what this means yet, but on the voice, it's sounding a little flat. I don't know if that's deadpan or if that maybe is like, you know.
Yeah, I agree. It does sound a bit flat. I agree.
What I did notice, like I'm noticing with the video, this interview, is he seems to have like a kind of jolly quality to him, like sort of like Santa Claus, you know, like a rosy cheek kind of thing. I don't know. I kind of get a little bit of that with the way he smiles, the way he kind of conducts himself, and he's kind of a little bit laid back a little bit too. I think it's interesting.
When I get to this kind of position in a hunt read, it's good, I think, now to see if we maybe can dial in a little more on what he's doing on the left and right. See if maybe we can distinguish which side he's on when he's emoting more.
Because he is leaning to his left all the time. I noticed that. But then he kind of gets like animated and starts doing some gesturing, and then he'll kind of like come out, and then he'll smile, and then he'll do all these kinds of things, and I'm just noticing that now.
I type out the whole thing, but that's what you do.
We're so lazy today. Like, we can't spell out how to get away with murder on Twitter. It's gotta be on that thing.
That thing he did there, that's like a tower move. That seemed like a little something on it. I don't know if he did it for effect or maybe that was maybe Zhai. But he could have been, you know, Xi doing Zai there for effect. But he looked like he did like a little of that. There again, you see it? That.
Hold on, are we still looking at the first video?
Yes.
Yes.
So what time?
This.
What was the time on that one? Because I'm watching it independently.
45 or 50. We don't have a lot more time left. I'd really like to watch another video. Can you pull another one up, Mitchell? Let's see if we can get him a little beardless, possibly.
I'll try.
Oh, were we supposed to start at? Oh, I came 45 minutes late, did I?
You were
I thought
back.
it was only 15
Back
minutes
Boy Ben. Sounds like a band name.
Wait, did we start at 5 your time or 5:30?
5 was when we started.
Oh, I was way later than I thought it was only 15 minutes late. Okay.
I don't see
sorry.
other good interviews at all, actually.
Oh, really? Bummer. Is there
Is
anything else at all?
Really short one here where he's with a bunch of other people.
Oh, hold on. You guys started at 5 o'clock, huh?
Well,
Yeah.
actually, I'm reading your emails and it said like Mitchell and I are there now, sent at 8:19 p.m., which will be 5:19.
Yeah, we were late, actually.
No, but actually 5 o'clock we started talking about is this going on, and then.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I was like 20
Right.
minutes after the hangout actually started. Okay.
I think
It's not 4, it's
5:30.
I'm glad I wasn't.
No, Gabe and I got here about 7:10 my time. That's about
I don't know if
5:10.
this is actually the most important discussion to be having with the few minutes that we have left.
Okay. Yeah.
Not.
Yeah, for sure.
You said there might be a short video of him. Can we see that?
I'm checking if it's him.
Ah.
I don't actually think it's. This is not an interview. And if he's in it, he's barely in it. So that's not a good one. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else with him as far as I can see.
Okay. Then let's watch this one again, or watch more of it then. See if we can.
I finished it.
Is there another video? Can I get the link?
No.
No?
be honest.
What a great
That's a good
birthday
point.
celebration.
And obviously, and the joint thing just for Shonda and myself.
Right. Clearly, sounds like a good birthday.
But it was a fun way to spend it.
That's beautiful. I'm so happy.
One thing I'm considering, now that I've been sort of putting my Ni Alpha little squeeze on him, I'm wondering if he might not be a Ni Alpha.
I was thinking,
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
I was getting a maybe possibly G9 vibe.
Yes,
I was
I'm wondering.
considering that.
I'm wondering if maybe the beard thing. He's the beard, and he's got a lot of Ni and twitchiness, but
He has a
may-
more consistent buttery delivery, I think.
He does.
Yeah,
That's
that
a lot
would
of-
actually make a lot of sense.
He doesn't hold a lot of eye contact. He's more twitchy than usual.
That's
but
interesting.
yeah,
Interesting.
but I've been trying to put the Ni Alpha on him, and so far I have not been able to get more than I need to close on it. Oh,
I
and
like it up to 90% of the way.
one thing I did to help with that is when I was having a little trouble there, I just real quick went and looked at pictures of him on Google. And once you guys go look quick on Google at pictures, his face looks a little, I don't know, bluffer.
Huh.
Fluffer?
I guess that's a way of saying like warm helmet head.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And even when
Oh
you
yeah.
had
That,
the-
Check with that beard on.
the mouth going.
yeah.
Oh
The
yeah.
eyes certainly pop out a lot, but
I'm getting full
he's
face.
got
Emily.
like,
I mean,
The beard kind of hides his full faces.
Yeah, definitely.
But he's kind of doing like the classic Ginai Mac and swagger in these pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I never wanted to get rid of that.
oh yeah. I mean, it's so much clearer in the pictures. Wow.
It really helps go back and forth. Yeah, some things really pop in motion. Other things really pop better in still frame.
Wow.
yeah, I actually started with the photos, and I thought that,
That makes.
Yeah, I like to go back. I like to go back and forth. A lot of times it's nice with photos, then the video, and then back at the photos.
yeah, exactly. It just kind of happens naturally in a way, too.
It
I was
does.
waiting in the photos. Looks like the beard is like a brief phase, maybe.
Yeah, but you see these pictures. The pictures he looks kind of Ginai to me.
So
He does in the
I
pictures.
guess you could say he's a subjective heavy Ginai. I mean,
Yeah. So when this happens to me, it happens frequently. Is when I have that, I'm like, I think maybe I'm seeing Ginai in these pictures. Let's go back and watch the video if you guys don't mind a few minutes, and just like watch a couple minutes with that possibility in our head. Also having his photos in our mind to contextualize.
Definitely.
Yeah, it changes the way you see it, right?
It does.
When you're starting with a different premise.
But on that, it helped me to actually try Ni Alpha out, and I tried it.
of
I was
course.
doing it, that it didn't hold like I wanted it to, which is cool, because then it helped me go here.
Yeah, it was like an easier in.
Yeah, just get started.
The layers will be peeled back.
It's sometimes easier to call things by seeing what they are. Sometimes I get there by kind of like eliminating what it isn't, and then it reveals itself.
Yeah. So many different ways to go about it.
It's funny, actually one of the first things I noticed about him was that he seemed very charming.
Yeah.
So that like some of the things that pop out to you about the person, like in the fifth year, they tend to be, they can often be related to what the final answer is. That's actually
You
pretty
don't know
interesting.
what it is at first. You're seeing something.
Yep.
He channels a lot.
Especially that quickly, and I think I do look at it. And we had a phone call with
The butter seems, if it is butter, it seems a bit full.
and that went right over my head because I was just too busy. But he wasn't talking. He wasn't even talking to me. And then I go back to one of my friends just to take a minute and that
Sorry, Coach, were you going to say something after that?
Sorry, I'm kind of just getting into a skin here a bit. Sometimes I do that. I don't know why I do that. Kind of when I see the motion, I kind of act them out myself. It helps you think.
in a lot of ways it's sort of a daily master class. Yeah. It's fun. We work together a lot. I
Work together a lot.
really cool in person.
The voice is very full.
I just love how Thursday nights are dominated by the ladies. Thursday nights are, I mean,
They absolutely are.
powerful. Thank you.
And this has been our
One thing I'm noticing, he likes to put his left arm on the rest
Yeah.
in an interesting way. And he moves around quite a bit.
He definitely is restraining himself for effect. He has a lot of. I think if he's a Genie, he's got a lot of Nai and Zayus, while still being charming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there also a possibility he could be like tired that day, or just like kind of in a weird, maybe in a
I don't
weird
know, but a lot of times you do see Genie do the beard, and when they're doing the beard, they're very often going through a Nai heavy phase.
Yeah, because it is actually, I mean, it is actually, there is some originality just for having a beard, because most people, like, I guess people do have beards, but, like, it's more conventional to not have a beard, or to have one that isn't quite as, or to not have a full beard, I should say.
Yeah.
The Vi standard usually when it comes to like
It's
usually a short haircut.
It's socially acceptable. I mean, you do see like a lot of men with beards, but it's just not quite as common, I guess.
You know what? I want to throw this out there. What if there's a chance that he might be a Nizai? I wanted to like throw that out there just to see maybe.
Yeah, it's worth throwing it out there. I do think I'm seeing some fairly pronounced Yangness, but he is very restrained in like an adaptive way, so I can see why you might want to feel that. Let's go take a look. Something else that Jylene just mentioned, which is good as well, is does the emoting go into the eyes? He crinkles those eyes a lot, and I was trying to distinguish what exactly that is because he squints a lot, but I think maybe he's also emoting around that squint. I'm trying to get freeze frames on the face of it here.
Yeah. His eyes, they seem like they have a focus.
You got a twinkle to him.
Yeah.
That vocal tone's rather consistent. Doesn't make me feel a little.
You can also look at the forehead above the eyes, and you can see emoting going up there too.
like I'm seeing knee.
I think I'm seeing that go in the eyes there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm seeing V, not knee.
V?
And not, actually. But I just don't think.
I think I see what you're saying. He's got a bit of bright eyes to him.
Yeah,
He had a laser
Shinai can
for-
sometimes have that for sure.
Yeah. Although he's rather squinty. They're bright, but he squints a lot.
I have a good smile. These eyes will captivate all the ladies. That's right, you know.
We're just talking about his eyes.
His eyes are so beautiful. They're like pools that I can go and swim in. But what if maybe, I just want to throw this out there again, what if he's a Genie? Let's just try that out.
Yeah, I actually
I was wondering that. The viscosity's been seeming lower to me, but we can look at that. Here is something I'm looking at possibly also as far as being a Genie or any other subjective mojo. That doesn't look as comfortable as I would have thought it would look, this 1,000-yard stare he's doing, considering how much he does of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he still looks a little off on that look. Let me try to grab another one. Do you guys see the one I'm looking at? It's at
Yes, I
550.
see the one you're looking at.
Okay, as far as the adaptive thing, this is a classic yin gesturing. Those wrists look a little tight to me.
Yeah, and I
At
just
550?
At 6'11" now, he's in this kind of yin gesturing motion, and it looks a little tight in those wrists.
Yeah, I actually do think he's more direct. He's probably directive.
And again, I just think I'm seeing Nye and Z. I don't think I'm seeing
Z?
5. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, so now you're playing with.
Well, I was playing the two Nye Alpha, and now I'm trying out the G Nye as well.
I know. I'm agreeing with that. I'm saying I think I'm seeing Nye and Z. I just don't think I'm seeing Knee and Vi, which is why I just said Knee, Zi, and Chinese. I just
wait.
don't.
What's that? You were thinking what?
9V.
I just
Yeah, I
think
think it was
I think I'm
Yeah,
seeing
okay.
Nye and Z. I don't think I'm seeing Knee and
So when
Vi.
you said Nye and V,
Like
you're so soft. Your audio's so soft. It sounded like you said Nye Z.
No.
I thought for a second you were saying I'm seeing 9 and Z, so I was thinking, hold on, so maybe 9Z and
That's not what I
Z
said.
9?
I know. Sorry.
Not
got
that
it.
wouldn't be a valid possibility
Yeah.
for certain
In
giants.
fact, actually, I do think I'm leaning more towards G.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
I
Okay. Definitely, he went back. He did this at like 6:12. He went back and forth, and it had that kind of like pop back of the hand quality it does when directives do pseudo yin gesturing.
and
His head's cocked strong on the left.
Time with this
That
kind of
looks like he's
charming,
emoting to the interviewers.
users do it.
You see a tilt there
Yes.
at 6:12.
Yes, I see it.
Kind of looks like he's got a forward warm tilt to the audience.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although you see his
Yeah,
body
that
accent,
looks
he's still
altered.
leaning back. He's his eyes quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, it makes his voice steady.
I really think that he's a G9, actually.
That's where I'm leaning. Now I'm trying to just make sure I don't see anything that makes
Oh,
me.
look at that freeze frame.
Yeah.
Leaning
Again,
forward with his head like that.
forward. Looks like he's engaging
Yep.
with his G.
Yeah. And you can still see the Nye beneath that,
Oh, there we go. Oh,
Oh, nice.
yes.
What was?
Oh,
Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
I think we bagged ourselves a G9, ladies and gentlemen.
What did you guys see just now?
That's full butter up in the eyes.
Yep, I see it.
Yeah.
You probably
What time was that? What time was it?
At 6:16. At 616, he goes like this.
There's a little bit of cunning to it too. Like
It's cunning, but you can see it. The G is going over the cunning, but the cunning's still there.
It is, yeah. Wow.
Excellent. Alrighty, so it's about 7:15. It's a good time to call it, but I'm going to say soft read on him, G9. I wish they had more video, but I believe G9. That was fun, guys.
Yeah, feel
That was
free.
good. We tried out some different stuff. We went to the Nye Alpha area for a while, and we came back. It was good, and we did pictures and video. Nice. That was good. Good read all around.
Yeah, we did quite a bit of stuff, and we got some good flag forwards everywhere.
We did, and we kind of got our feet wet as a Naiji sort of reading pack. So we'll next time we'll be even smoother on the hunt. That was fun. By the way, let me know if I say anything that throws things off too much, because I want to contribute, but I don't want to like overwhelm when we do it as a team. I want to give people a chance to jump in and do something.
No, I don't think you did actually, because that whole time, even when you were testing the Nye Alpha thing, I wanted to keep G9 on the table, so I wasn't saying much. But then you tested it out, and we eventually brought the G9 back, so clearly.
Cool.
Yeah,
But just let me know. We'll try to get a real nice, smooth rhythm for us team here. That was fun. I really enjoyed that, guys.
definitely me too.
All right, so that's it for tonight. We'll go ahead and sign off. Before we go, though, just remember to try to do at least one beat of incantation before next session, if you can. Great.
That sounds good.
I feel like I want to like just do like a whole bunch.
No, I love that.
As much
Do
as
as much as you can.
or, yeah.
But I want to make a standard of do at least one beat on session and at least one beat in between sessions. It's a nice conservative minimum. It'll make sure we keep in the mix.
Oh, hold on. Just one beat or one
One beat
time module?
minimum. I'm trying to make it as small as possible, so one beat minimum. But the more you can do, the better.
Awesome. Okay, that makes sense.
You expect 20 beats tomorrow from me. I'll be on it. Today was writing. Tomorrow it's going to be voicing. Okay, that was great, and I look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday.
All right.
Awesome.
All right, awesome. Have an excellent night and rest your week. And well,
Yeah.
rest your week. It's only Tuesday. Well, whatever. My schedule. Hey, whatever. Have a great night.
I feel your goodwill, man. I feel it. All right.
I feel it too.
Good night, everybody.
Have a great night, guys.
Later.
Hey.